now tuned in to your number one radio station.
Kings 88.5 FM. Your station, your voice.
Pleasant good evening from Monrovia and welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia, the rest of our one world. I'm Stephen Compton Angry. In the headlines, Monrovia City Court rules against former House Speaker Funati Kofa and 3 other lawmakers for the preliminary hearing into the Capitol building arson case. Others, the transfer of the case to criminal court aid for full trial. Rape Court of the 14th Judicial Circuit in Riverside County begins the trial of Sir Bobo, a 43-year-old man accused of raping 2 young girls in Solo Village. Liberian Senate raises concern over the legitimacy of a negotiated cargo tracking note agreement, urged that argue that agreement was finalized without a required review or approval from the Senate, establishes a special committee to review the negotiated CTN agreement and all related contract. Away from home, the head of the main police station in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, has been detained over the killing of a young blogger in police custody. Independent investigation said. Details of this development, the news bulletin. The voices of the news makers are packaged. We are taking a very short break to be right back. Welcome back. Up next is the Bulletin of News with Newton Tokba.
In a politically charged and closely monitored legal development, stepping there with magistrate, Councillor Ben Barcode of Monrovia City Court Friday ruled that the government of Liberia has established a prima facie case against former House Speaker Councillor Jonathan Funati Kofa and 3 sitting lawmakers. The charges stemmed from the alleged arson attack on the Capitol building during the December 18, 2024 fire incident. The ruling, issued on Friday by the magistrate Bako, based on his ruling on Section 12.2 of the Criminal Procedures Law of Liberia, which mandates a preliminary examination to determine whether the accused should be held to answer formal charges. He cited the Supreme Court's decision in the Republic of Liberia, Chapter 35, LLR 715, 1988, noting that the establishment of prima facie case does not require proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but rather a demonstration of probable cause. According to the prosecution, Councillor Kofa, along with Representative Dixon Sibo, Montserrat County District 16 Abu Kamara, District 15, and Representative Jacob Debbie of Grand Jide County, allegedly conspired, financed, and orchestrated the arson attack that severely damaged the Capitol building during the December riots. The complaint alleges that the accused coordinated via telephone and encrypted chat rooms to buy gasoline and other incendiary materials used in the attack, which reportedly caused hundreds of thousands of US dollars in damage of the joint chambers of the legislature. Representative Sibo was identified as a principal organizer who allegedly recruited individuals to carry out the attack and facilitated their escape, while Representative Kamara is accused of being a key financial allegedly recruited and thus the participants as actors in the plot. Though not directly implicated in the physical execution of the attack, Councillor Kofa is accused of having prior knowledge of the plot. Prosecution witnesses allege that he was part of the digital chat room where the scheme was discussed. Defense counsel, led by former Associate Justice Councillor and Wickens Wright, immediately noted their exception to the ruling, strongly arguing that the court's funding and indicating their intention to appeal. The case is now set to proceed to Criminal Court A for full trial proceedings following Magistrate Barkan's directive that the evidence presented by the prosecution warrants further judicial examination. In a related development, following Magistrate Ben Barco's ruling against former hospital councillor Jonathan Fonatikofa and three lawmakers accused in the Capitol building arson case, defense attorney councillor Jonathan Masakwe has strongly objected to the decision, vowing to pursue every available legal avenue as the case proceeds to a full trial. The high-profile case, which has drawn national attention due to the status of the accused, including former Speaker of the House of Representatives Jonathan Fonatikofa and three other lawmakers, has now been formally transferred from the Monrovia City Court to Criminal Court A. The court, legally empowered to hear and adjudicate serious criminal matters, addressing judicial reporters outside the courtroom Friday, Councillor Masakwe reiterated a foundational legal principle that the defendants remain innocent until proven guilty. Magistrate Barkon's preliminary ruling, which effectively allows the case to advance, has been met with procedural objections from the defense. Mazakwet made clear that his team takes legal exception to the decision but respects the ruling of the court and the rule of law. Mazakwe was also quick to downplay any suggestion to defeat, emphasizing that the defense is legal, not disappointed in the lower court's ruling. The plenary of the Liberian Senate is raising concern over the legitimacy of the recently renegotiated cargo tracking note agreement, alleging that it was finalized without the required review of approval from the Senate. According to Senator Prince Moy, he disclosed that he had previously recommended that the original CTN contract be either cancelled or renegotiated. However, he noted that the executive branch did not respond to those recommendations. Senator Moy was reportedly shocked to learn through the media that a new agreement had already been reached. In response, the Senate has mandated the establishment of a special committee to review and renegotiate CTN agreement and all related contracts. The executive, through the National Port Authority Managing Director Sekou Dukle, has promoted the new deal as highly beneficial. According to the executive, the revised agreement increases Liberia's revenue share from 2% to 4% and is expected to reduce shipping costs. For his part, Senator Amara Kone revealed that the General Auditing Commission has already conducted audits, citing irregularities, and public hearings will soon be held. Lawmakers are now demanding full transparency to determine whether the new agreement genuinely serves the national interest. The Rape Court of the 14th Judicial Circuit Court of Riverside County has begun the trial of Sir Bondo, a 43-year-old man accused of raping two young girls in Solo Village, Yani District. Recently, the alleged perpetrator was accused of raping two minors aged 9 and 11 in a case that has drawn public concern and attention in the county. Meanwhile, three witnesses earlier this week, including the two survivors, have testified against the alleged perpetrator. The prosecutors, in the wake of the survivors' account and supporting evidence, are seeking a conviction of the 43-year-old Sir Bondo. However, the defense team, according to reports, is yet to present its case as the trial is being closely watched by residents of Riverside County and rights organizations advocating for justice in sexual and gender-based violence cases. Civil society organizations in Liberia with support from Action Aid Liberia have convened a 4-day national workshop focused on domestic resource mobilization and financing for development. The event is currently taking place in Monrovia and aims to strengthen civil society's role in addressing the country's economic challenges. At the opening of the dialogue, Action Aid Liberia's country director Elizabeth Johnson expressed concern over Liberia's escalating debt crisis and its far-reaching effects on both citizens and civil society. Madam Johnson described the current debt system as unjust and broken, noting that it is worsening the climate crisis and placing an additional burden on the country by requiring payments in foreign currency. She urged CSO actors to use the dialogue as a platform to critically examine the root causes of the debt crisis and advocate for more just and sustainable financial solutions. Madam Johnson further encouraged participants to engage meaningfully in discussions over the 4-day workshop and to challenge harmful economic measures that have undermined national development efforts. Citizens Movement for Change political leader and Nimba County District 7 Representative Musa Hassan Beliti has backed his colleague Senator Yan Twan criticism against steel giant ArcelorMittal Liberia. Representative Beliti on Thursday in an interview with OKFN said he and other members of the Nimba Legislative Caucus would not sit and allow AML and members of the executive branch of government to do things that would not benefit the county and its people. Recently, Senator Yan Thorne held a press conference at which time he sharply criticized ArcelorMittal, accusing the steel company of failing to uphold key components of its mineral development agreement. But the Nima County Senator assertions against AML have since been condemned by the prominent son of the county who believe that Senator Thorne's criticism does not reflect a genuine concern for the overall interests of the county, but rather influenced by financial support from high-power exploration for his own benefit. During a press conference on Wednesday, Armstrong Gobart said the Nima senator is criticizing ArcelorMittal's development efforts because he sees the company impact in the county as a threat to political influence in the county because AML is working with office of Nima County Superintendent, who Senator Tuan considered as major political opponent. However, Representability said members of the Nima caucus are resolved and will fight and ensure that the right things are done in the interest of the people. Meanwhile, ArcelorMittal Liberia has projected an increase in revenue generation from 45 million to 125 million annually following the construction of a 1.4 billion investment project in Nimba County. The projected increment in the revenue collection, according to the company, will help strengthen the increase in the budgetary support to the government and people of Liberia. Making a disclosure at MICAT Thursday, AML Executive Director and Chief of Operations Officer Anthony Cocken said that expected budgetary allocation will focus on health, education, and infrastructure. At the same time, ArcelorMittal Executive Director noted that the 5,000 jobs are expected to be created in the infrastructure sector of the company, with additional 3,000 jobs upon expansion of the 1.4 billion investment project. According to him, the 1.4 billion concentration plan will promote the procurement of building materials of local businesses and enhance the expansion of the company operation. He lauded the Liberian government for the support and added that the company is committed to adhere to its concession agreement at all times with the Liberian government. The Office of the War and Economic Crimes Court has made a passionate appeal to religious leaders to prevail on the Liberian government to support its programs and activities. The executive director of the office, Councillor Jala Babu, disclosed that employees of the institution have not been paid their salaries for the last 4 months and he has been unable to afford rental of the building they are currently occupied due to lack of the government support. According to Dr. Babu, the Office of the War and Economic Crimes Court lacks funds to undertake series of activities leading to the establishment of the court, thus discouraging international partners because they will never pay the salaries of the employees. He made a disclosure during an engagement with members of the Fifth and Justice Network in the diplomatic enclave of Mamba Point in Morovia on Thursday. He remarks the chairman of the board of director of the Fifth and Justice Network, Bishop Samuel Choir, assured Councillor Babu to hold discussion with the president, Joseph Walker, to inform him about the urgent need to support the establishment of the court. The United Methodist Church Bishop also promised the office that the network will go across the country and aimed at creating awareness on the code. The engagement was graced by the cross-section of religious leaders, including Catholic Archbishop Gabriel Jubui, Episcopal Church Bishop Joseph Seli, Reverend Dr. Christopher Toll, Secretary General, Liberal Council of Churches, among others. Montserrat County District Representative Yeke Koluba has made staggering revelations stating that President Joseph Boakai and police IG Gregory Coleman know the real perpetrators of the December 2024 Capitol building fire incident. Speaking first upon his return to Liberia, Koluba noted that the government is only trying to implicate former Speaker Kofa and 4 other lawmakers due to political differences, and as such, a means of targeting opposition lawmakers. The Montserrat County District 10 lawmaker also accused President Boakai of plotting to remove former Speaker Kofa to allow him full control of the lower house to enable him carry out heinous acts against the state. The National Food Assistance Agency has made a donation of cereal food items to the Third Memorial Hospital in Bomi County following assessments of the diet food needs of both patients and staff at the county's main health facility. Food items presented on the compound of the hospital included 25 kg bags of rice, most of which are locally produced, bunches of plantain, corn, carton of sardine, gallons of palm and alcohol oil, and sacks of mineral drinking water. Speaking during the presentation of the items, the Director General of the National Food Assistance Agency, Bakar Salif, lauded the collaborative efforts of the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation, through whose kind gestures the donation of the food commodities begin as sources. Receiving the food item, the County Health Officer, Dr. Anita Breman Davis, thanked the NAFA team for the donation, stressing the importance of food to human being and with gasoline to motor car. She added that food is even more important for the patients in the hospital because it enhances the efficiency of whatever drug prescribed for healing. A retired mayor of the Armed Forces of Liberia has underscored the need for the National Bureau of Veteran Affairs to engage veterans, allow them contribute positively to the society. Major Jackson Molu, who is currently the city solicitor in Carisburg, said retired soldiers should now know that as a veterans, they need to use their skills in whatever profession they find themselves. Speaking in an interview with the station, Anthony Molu warned veterans against being used by self-seeking politicians and civil society organizations planning to hold demonstrations in the country. According to Anthony Molu, the veteran court causing trouble, disturbance, and creating chaos stands the possibility of being charged with mutiny.
Newton Toba there with the news. A bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. 45 minutes of news about Liberia. Elsewhere, in one of our top developments, Monrovia City Court rules against the former House Speaker, Nati Kofa, and 3 other lawmakers following preliminary hearing into the Capitol building arson case. Order the transfer of the case to criminal court aid for full trial. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you voices of the news makers. Welcome back. Let's now take our first development. Following Magistrate Ben Barcode's ruling against former House Speaker Councillor Funati Kofa and three other lawmakers accused in the Capitol building arson case, defend Anthony Councillor Janitor Mansa strongly objected through the decision owing to pursued every available legal avenue as the case proceeds to a full trial. The high-profile case, which has drawn national attention due to the status of the accused influencing former Speaker of the House of Representatives and other three lawmakers, has now been formally transferred from the Monrovia City Court to Criminal Court Aid, legally empowered to hear and a serious criminal matter. Addressing judicial reporters outside the courtroom Friday, Councillor Massaquet reiterated a foundational legal principle that the defendant remain innocent until proven guilty.
Defendants are presumed innocent until they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, right? And so they have the burden of proof. That burden of proof remain with them until this matter is established, right? We have not reached the Supreme Court. We took a session where it is a requirement of the law that the procedure, that's a procedure, is to adequately represent the defendant in this matter, right? Represent the interest and ensure that justice is administered. Right? I am not disappointed at all. Not at all. We're not disappointed. This is a procedure. I think this is a procedure. The matter doesn't end here, right? The matter is being transferred to the court that has authority to investigate this kind of franchise. At that point, they have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. The matter is going to start me. The matter is going to start all over at criminal court. And they got to come forward with the evidence. They got to give up what they call discovery, set of evidence that they rely on to charge the defendants. And we're going to go through this. The first thing I don't speak to speculation, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't refer to social media evidence. I refer to the set of facts that were presented to me. So the discovery that the prosecution will present to us is what we're going to refer to, not social media evidence.
Defense Anthony Councillor Janitor Massaquet there speaking. Civil society organizations in Liberia with support from Action Aid Liberia have convened a four-day national workshop focused on domestic revenue mobilization and financing for development. The event is currently taking place in Monrovia and aims to strengthen civil society organizations' role in addressing the country's economic challenges. At the opening of the dialogue, Action Aid Liberia's director, Elizabeth Johnson, expressed concern over Liberia's escalating debt crisis and its far-reaching efforts on both citizen and civil society. Mana Johnson described the current debt system as unjust and broken, noting that it is worsening the climate and crisis and placing an additional burden on the country by requiring repayment in foreign currency.
We gather here today at a critical inflection point in our history, not just as a nation, but as a global community. We are living in a times where there are a lot of things going on, and once a pillar of international cooperation is in shape, it's declining gradually. For example, we witnessed USA has cut funding by 90%. The UK has slashed its support, and many donors now prioritize trade, security over justice, and poverty eradication. Meanwhile, here in Liberia, we are navigating a deeper debt crisis. Our government is being forced to cut domestic spending on essential public services, especially health, education, and social protection, just to be able to pay back debts. As a report that was launched by Action Aid, Who Owns Who, clearly shows the debt system is not just unjust, it is broken. Whose debt is accelerating the climate crisis, repayment in foreign currency, pushing debtor nations to extract more and put them more into the situation of them being a developed nation. As civil society actors, we cannot ignore the root of this crisis. Decades of neoliberal economic policy, the structural adjustment programs since 1980 have prioritized privatization and extractive growth over human well-being as well as health. And their consequences are clear, while creating to the point of inequality, collapsing public services, environmental degradation, and domestic erosion.
Action A. Country Director Elizabeth Johnson there speaking. Citizens Movement for Change, a political leader in Nimba County District 7 Representative Musa Beriti has backed his colleague Senator Yan Twine, criticizing against the steel giant ArcelorMittal. Representative Beriti on Thursday in an interview with OKDF said, and the other members of Nimba County Legislative Caucus would not say it and allow ArcelorMittal Liberia, the members of the executive branch of government, to do things that would not benefit the county and its people.
Nimba is a free place, it's a free space, but the fight for our people to get what they deserve, nobody in Nimba outside of the legislative caucus, the legitimate representative of the people, can say yes, everything, or of course no, everything is not. Okay. When I agree, I'm telling you, Nimba is the most democratic place. We are politically inclined. We can talk. Other people can come here and say Medasti is coming from heaven. They have done everything, but that is their right. What we know is that deal, we will not accept it unless we are sure it's good for our people.
Have you seen the proposed deal?
That's our point. You don't think we should see it? You don't think, but now, as the representative of the people, we should be a praise of it so that we can make our input?
Also, the prominent son of the county who believed that Senator Yan Twine criticism does not reflect the genuine concern for the overall interest of the county, but rather influenced by financial support from high-powered aspiration for his own benefit. During a press conference on Wednesday, Ashkan Gobert said the Nimba County Senator is criticizing ArcelorMittal's development effort because it seems that the compounded impact in the county as a threat to political influence in the county because AML is working with the office of Nimba County Superintendent, who Senator Twine considers his political opponent.
This investment, we stay with the investment. We will protect the investment. $1.4 billion investment and not small investment. Senator Yatwa is saying that he will and ArcelorMittal should leave you bring company in 2 million. How possible is a company can come any company anywhere in 2 million? That the public be the judge. It is not because he came from America. There's few times HPS people. What we learn is that some lobbyists from HPS met him and gave some money for HPS so that he can use that money against ArcelorMittal. We are not against HPS. We are not against any other company. Our issue is to call for our benefit. But you cannot go to America, you take money on our behalf, then you come out, you stay here and try to damage your reputation in that the mechanism so that people can see all that Guru gains and thought they can see all that people that investment. We support the investment strongly. We are with ArcelorMittal. I close by saying, before he could become senator, he works at Social Security. All of the times he worked at Social Security, he was not able to one day go to Nimba to even identify with the student group, the community group, to even sit with us at Nimba to make a view on the ArcelorMittal. Worst of all, go on YouTube, on True FM page, YouTube. Mamadi Diakite brought a talk show when the riot took place in 2013. Mamadi Diakite brought a talk show about the riot in 2013. When Ellen Johnson said, he said, you're going to seize our money, our country money, and use it for the riot that took place. And Jan sat in that studio, he defended that it was the right of the president to seize the Nimba money. Nimba people were criminal, they were hooligan, they were harassing investment. This thing, we are not part of it, and we are not going to support any politician to sit in Moro to incite or on Monday.
Still in Nimba County, ArcelorMittal Liberia has projected an increase in revenue generation from 45 million to 125 million annually following the construction of a 1.4 billion investment project in Imba County. The projected increment in revenue collection, according to the company, will help strengthen and increase its budgetary support to the Liberian government and its people. Making a disclosure, Aminga Thursday press briefing, AML Executive Director and Chief of Operation Officer Anthony Kogan said the expected budgetary allocation will focus on health, education, and infrastructure.
Just 1 week ago, we stood shoulder to shoulder with the government and the people of Liberia to commission the country's first ever iron ore concentrator, a historic milestone that marks not just the evolution of our operations, but the beginning of a new era in Liberia. This is a game changer for the Liberian mining sector. This new concentrator is a flagship component of AML's new investment of $1.8 billion in the Phase 2 expansion, a bold step in transforming raw extraction into industrial beneficiation. With this new investment, ArcelorMittal's total investment in Liberia will be $3.5 billion, which is one of the largest investments in the iron ore mining sector to date in West Africa. This facility enables ArcelorMittal Liberia to convert medium-grade ore into high-grade iron on Liberian soil, significantly increasing the value of the country's natural resources. This marks completion of one of the largest industrial complexes ever built in Liberia, paving the way for value-added processing in Liberia, the very essence of industrialization, ensuring Liberia's position as a regional mining leader. This project and this journey also has built jobs. Over 5,000 jobs have been created in the construction phase of.
Still with more developments, the Office of the World and Economic Crime Court has made a passionate appeal to religious leaders to prevail on the Liberian government to support its programs and activities. The executive director of the office, Councillor Jala Babu, disclosed that employees of the institution have not been paid their salaries for the last 4 months and has been unable to afford rental of the building they currently occupy due to the lack of government support. According to Dr. Babu, the Office of the World and Economic Crimes Code likes of funding to undertake series of activities leading to the establishment of the code, thus discouraging international partners because they will never pay their salary of the employees.
So assured me that the government will provide all of the support, including that they will not interfere politically. So we took that as something to go forward with. I'd like to report to you that this building in which we sit today was not a building that was turned over to us to take and run. When I took over, we didn't have an office space. Otherwise, we had absolutely nothing to start with. The government promised $500,000 for the year 2024. When we took over, the government informed me later that they had used a portion of that money to pay the previous team and otherwise some other expenses. But after some time, then it became clear it's $368,000. This is not a good commitment. We have to go back to the drawing board. And we're giving the $368,000 in both Liberian dollars and US dollars at the government exchange rate. We didn't receive that money in until January of this year. We assumed some risk. Risk number one was we found this place, so we entered this building. We're all paying 1 penny to the owner. Also, when we entered here, we didn't have a plastic chair in this building. Absolutely nothing. The president committed $2 million, payable quarterly in equal installments of $500,000.
Also, in remarks, the chairman of the board of directors of the Faith and Justice Network, Bishop Samuel, acquired a show Councillor Bagud to hold discussion with President Joseph Boakai to inform him about the urgent need to support the establishment of the court.
1. By preaching and teaching on justice as a biblical and moral imperative. 2. Mobilizing spiritual and psychosocial support for victims and their families through trauma healing ministries and pastoral care. 3. Helping communities understand the role and process of the court to promote public confidence and dispel misinformation. 5. Praying persistently for the integrity, security, and success of the court's work. We affirm that justice and reconciliation are not opposing goals. They are complementary steps on the path to lasting peace. We recognize that the road ahead is not without challenges. Among them, 1. Public misconceptions and fear of reprisals, especially in communities where perpetrators still wield influence. 2. Limited logistical and technical resources available to the court for witness protection, outreach, and efficient case processing. Political sensitivities surrounding the prosecution of high-profile individuals. Despite these challenges, there are real opportunities for collaborative action between the church and the court, especially in the following practical areas. In light of our shared commitment to truth, justice, and national healing, the Faith and Justice Network proposes the following immediate support initiatives. 1. We will partner with local churches across the counties to conduct coordinated awareness forums on the role of the court and the biblical foundations of justice and accountability. 2. We will launch a church-based victims healing initiative offering spiritual counseling, group therapy, and trauma healing workshops in collaboration with licensed Christian counselors. 3. We will identify and train 60 church leaders as justice ambassadors to serve as bridges between the court and their communities.
Bishop Samuel Choir is the chairman of the board of directors of the Faith and Justice Network. Earlier, he listened to the executive director of the Office of the World and Economic Crimes Court, Councillor Jala Babu. And coming up very shortly is our foreign developments, and this story sets the pace. Montserrat County District 10 Representative Yeke Koluba has made revelation stating that President Joseph Boakai and police RG Gregory Coburn know the real perpetrators of the December 2024 Capitol building fire incident. Speaking Thursday upon his return to the country, Representative Koluba noted that the government is only trying to implicate the former speaker and 4 other lawmakers due to political differences and as a means of targeting opposition lawmakers. The Montserrat County District and lawmaker also accused President Joseph Boakai of plotting the removal of former Speaker Funati Kofa to allow him take full control of the lower house to enable him carry out India's act against the state.
They see because they can get to certain people, and we are waiting for them to come to me. People say, "Hey, boy, I've gone to jail before." I remember during former President Selita, when I was giving press matter crime, that time I was represented, and my hard time dealing with them. The only thing I had to do was somebody put black on my leg, rule on my cornerstone, I bought the person black, the king they grabbed me, oh, you get robbed. They took me to jail. I spent 3 weeks in Broom prison compound. To carry the evidence to the court, to have y'all. They told the court the man bought 40,000 black. That the same case here, my people. Joseph Boakai very lazy. He didn't know what to do. He just another powerless. He believed in the poverty. we all connect in local country. For the case here, government got nothing on the case. Oforidia and General Gala, the one that gave that recalling to the police. Oforidia and General Gala, I said we drove. They were in Abuka, I was in Omodibi's car. Take up. We came here. We sat down and I told them, Jimmy, there are people you don't, I don't trust them. People are NSA agents. Oh, but Jimmy took about joke. So a one number really kept up really. The passing line, the people wanted to for each I want to talk about it, we call it. Oh, Jimmy, oh, my man, the thing in code, don't talk about it. Oh, the thing in code, don't talk about it.
Monserrato County District 10 Representative Yeke Kolubade taking off for our foreign development, where the head of the main police station in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, has been detained over the killing of a young blood clot in police custody, independent investigators said, as well as officer commander the police station Samson Talent ordered policeman PC James McQuarrie plus a technician accused of disturbing the station CCTV had also been arrested. Ibet Ajoa, the death sparked a protest for doctors, filtered a police claim he had died from self-inflicted injury caused by hitting his head on a cell wall. Instead, they calculated and concluded that it was likely the result of an assault. At least 23 people have been questioned and 5 others removed from activities due to it while an independent investigation take place. That's all for today's edition of the news program. But before we take leave of you, here are top stories. We close the photo on the weekend edition of King's News Broom. Monrovia City Court rules against the former House Speaker Funati Kofa and 3 other lawmakers following preliminary hearing into the Capitol building arson case. Ordered the transfer of the case to criminal case for full trial. The rape court of the 14th Judicial Circuit Court in Riverside County begins the trial of Sabobo, the 43-year-old man accused of raping 2 young girls in Solo Village. The Senate raises serious concerns over the legitimacy of a negotiated cargo trucking note agreement, argued that the agreement was finalized without the required review or approval from the Senate, establishes a special committee to review the negotiated CTA agreement and all related contracts. Away from home, the head of the main police station in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, has been detained over the killing of a young blood clot in police custody. Independent investigators say. This note, would like to say many thanks to our news writers, reporters, and editors for making today's news presentation. Also, Newton Topa brought us the news of Good FM. Sam Andrew Sarah Control, the coordinator. Stay in contact. Thanks for listening and watching.